Hello and welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. I'm your host, Kamaria Richmond, and I have a wonderful show for you today. We are talking to Linnell Ellis, and she is the founder and creative director of Linnell Ellis, beautiful accessories and handbags. So Linnell, welcome to the Ed Brown Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I wanted to have you because you have some incredible handbags and accessories. So I want to tell you ask you, how did you get started into the business? I know you're from corporate America, so how did you make the transition?
Yes, I was in corporate America and had an addiction to handbags, a true addiction. And I just loved bags, all kinds of bags. And one day my husband said, you know, you should really make your own because you just keep buying all these bags. And we've been talking about starting our own business. And I said, okay, well, maybe I can put my creative talents to good use. And so we decided that we would do that. So I sketched a few bags and taught myself, I'm a self-taught designer, and figured out how to get a sample made and how to get them produced. And that was the beginning of everything.
Wow, so how did you say, okay, how do I learn how to stitch? How do I learn, where do I go? Like, where did you go to get this information on how to start doing that? Because that's not an easy task.
No,
It's
well,
challenging.
a lot of research. So I can sew buttons and everything, but I can't sew handbags. Well, I couldn't at the time. And so I really just had to find a pattern maker. And once I did that, I found someone who could create a prototype or a sample. And I was good enough to piece together bags using construction paper or old fabric just so that I could test sort of how they would look. And then once I was comfortable, I would send them off to the pattern maker to get patterns made, and then off to the sample maker. And I was able to find sample makers and factories here in the U.S., and that's what I do.
Wow, so USA.
Yes.
All the way. That is wonderful. Now, how do you come up with the designs?
A lot of our designs are inspired by things that support our motto, which is live completely. So things such as travel or dining or time with family and friends, whatever is important to someone to help them create memories with their loved ones and create experiences, because we say that true luxury is found in life's experiences. So if I'm traveling somewhere, I might say, oh, that color is beautiful, or the culture of the place where I am. And then I come back and I start sketching, and it happens from there.
Now, kind of tell us more about going someplace and bringing in the culture. What is it? What's special about that?
So I've always been one who, you go to different countries or different places, and I don't like to stay on the resort. I want to be immersed in the place where I am. And so it moves me, you know. I'd say the last collection that we've done was inspired by our trip to Jamaica and our trip to the Dominican Republic. So I may take a few items or things that sort of inspired me while I was there. For instance, in the DR, colors. I remember purchasing this artwork when we were in the Dominican Republic, and I was captivated by the colors. Reds and blues and browns and greens, and I thought, wow, you know, it was very striking. So when I came back, that sort of stuck with me, and so you'll see that the styles that I have, I produce them in those bright, vibrant colors. So.
And the colors are very beautiful, and I know we're going to show some of those pictures today. But you also work with your husband, who's your partner.
Oh, yes.
And we were talking before we started. I love seeing you all on social media because you really do work well together. And we were at an event, and the way you two talked about one another was beautiful. So tell us about how it is with another creative person.
Yes, so Ellis, he is the Ellis part of Linnell Ellis. First of all, he's sort of like my biggest fan. He's my biggest motivator. He's always encouraging me to keep going, keep trying, don't give up, you know, the life of an entrepreneur. But he's also the business mind. So he keeps us from getting in trouble. And, you know, I am sort of this free spirit, creative, but he, you know, makes sure that the operations as well as quality of the bags. He's very detailed. So he just sort of keeps the back end running, and then also giving his feedback and suggestions as well. So we're a really good pair for each other. Whereas I may say, oh, we've got to do it. You know, I say yes to everything. He's like, well, let's make sure it aligns with our goals, and do we have enough money to do it? So we're a great team, and that spills over from our personal life, our marriage. So yeah.
And to keep a business like that going, I mean, what is like your day to day?
Yeah, so we have multiple businesses, but for Linnell Ellis, the day-to-day is always, you know, centered around where can we go next, what sales, how can we connect with our customer. That's really, really important to me. How do we connect with other people who are inspired by the thought of just living their life? And so that they'll think of us when they're traveling or when they're doing something that's important to them. So always trying to figure out how we can connect and really be authentic. And that takes a lot of time to do that. So how to connect, and then like for instance, right now, we're in the middle of a new collection. So sourcing fabrics and leathers and meeting with our factory. At the end of the month, I go to New York to meet with our factory so that we can walk through some of the samples. So that sort of takes up the day. Of course, the business side of things takes over as well. So when I'm not doing that, I'm a mother and a consultant, and so it's a busy day.
And busy, busy, busy.
Yes.
And so when you're looking at fabrics, I know you use a lot of leather. Are you using any other type of fabric?
Yeah, right now our linings are not fabric. I mean, are not leather, they're fabric. So I source them based on prints and the quality of the fabrics. But most of our bags right now are leather, and they could be anywhere from cowhide to lambskin. We also have some suede, different types of suede. So it just depends on sort of the structure of the bag and actually the trends. I'm not very trendy. One of the things you'll find with us is very classic. I believe in classic design so that the bag can last for a long time and go with you throughout your stages of life. But where we do follow the trends would be in colors, in patterns, and sometimes in shapes. I sort of go to the beat of my own drum sometimes.
And that's the thing, like a good handbag, you want to keep that handbag like forever.
Exactly. It's an investment, you know.
It is an investment. And the thing is it looks great on the outside, but as you use it and use it and use it, the inside kind of looks a little worn.
Yeah.
So the fabric that you're using on the inside, how long does that?
It depends. We've gone anywhere from cotton to satin. Sometimes we've used some of that. Gingham. It really depends on the type of bag it is. So for instance, if I have a tote and I put a satin in there, it's not going to last long because, as you know, women, we put everything in a tote bag, right? Pins and, you know, all of that. But if it's a backpack or if it's a clutch, that's different. We're more careful with those types of things. So I try to take that into account. But with our bags, such as like the tote bags, our bucket bag, I always try to do a drop lining so that you can pull the lining out and do what we call spot cleaning as well. Right. So I try to take that into account.
Yeah, because I have some bags. I'm like, you know what? I cannot look at this bag on the inside.
Right. Exactly.
Anymore. And what is like your signature bag?
The signature bag is the Florence envelope clutch. and it's the novelty print. So I only do that made to order right now because it's our most popular bag, but it takes a lot more in sourcing the leather with that. It's hand painted and embossed lambskin. So that's made to order. Although everyone keeps asking to produce a larger amount.
Right.
But there's some exclusivity in made to order as well.
Absolutely. And how did you come up with that design? Because that's a really cool design. It's very unique. How did you come up with that one?
All of the bags are named after women in my family.
Interesting.
And so Florence, she was an aunt. And she was very vibrant and colorful and just joyful and jubilant. And so that's how we ended up with all the mixture of colors in that novelty bag. But one of the great memories I have of her, and all of my aunts really, spending time in Virginia during the summers and writing letters back and forth to my mom and other people. So if you take a look at that bag, it's in the shape of an envelope because of that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So now you do this with all of your bags? There's a story. Well, I know you said you want to have a connection and have others buy them and have a connection. So how did you decide, okay, I'm going to name this out of all the women in my family, and kind of what connection do you have with those women?
It could be a memory. It could be something about their personality. Our newest bag, the Novella Clutch, is named after my grandmother, my paternal grandmother. And it's when I finished and I looked at it, it reminded me of her because it's quiet and unassuming, but it makes a statement. It's suede right now. It's going to come in leather as well. And that's how she was. She was very quiet but she had a presence. When she walked into the room, people noticed that she was there, full of grace. And so it just reminded me of her. And I thought, I'm going to name this after her. So that's typically what I do, either a memory or something about the bag, a quality that will remind me of a family member. So everyone except my mom, I haven't named a bag after her yet because I'm waiting for like the perfect bag that's going to really speak to her. So.
And how do what I should have asked you is, when did you actually start? What year?
Oh, yes.
Did you start, and how long you've been doing it?
It seems like forever. So we originally started in 2000, and I laugh because I look at the bags back in 2000 versus now. It's very funny. But I was learning, and in 2008, after many, many, many years of trying to start a family, have another child, it happened. And so my husband and I are like, oh, okay. Well, then, of course, I'm like, everything stops then.
Right.
And that happened to be also around the time of the recession, which now I know is a good thing for us. So we kind of like took a break in 2008, but we relaunched in 2013, the beginning of 2013. And everything just has taken off since then. It's been amazing, and yeah.
That's a beautiful story about talking about the women in your family, but also about having the timing of everything and how that's important for an entrepreneur.
Yes, timing is everything. And coming from corporate America, I've really learned what's important. And so I really feel like my personal story is similar to a lot of women entrepreneurs, and that you have to do what's important and really know what matters, and timing is everything. So, I believe that what is for Ellis and I is truly for Ellis and I, and when. And that's shown itself to be true, throughout our life, whether it's having children or starting a business and then starting other businesses. So, yeah.
Now, when you were a little girl, did you think, I really have a love for handbags, I think I want to design handbags? Or did you say, you know what, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I'm not exactly sure what I want to do?
Yeah, that's a good question. So growing up, I always remember my mom. She would always, and even to this day, she does this. When I see her in church on Sundays, she always matched her bag with her shoes. So I would sit there while she was at her makeup counter getting ready and everything, and I'd say, oh, when I get older, I'm going to have matching bags and shoes. Like, that was my thing, you know, forget all the makeup and all that. I was like into the bags and shoes.
Right.
And that just kind of stuck with me, you know. I just really love bags. And as I got older, I think I really decided that bags were important for women because it doesn't really matter where you are in your life. You know, we go up and down, size, smaller, taller, whatever.
Right.
But the bag never changes. So it never affects you at the point of your life. It's always there, and it can always be sort of this positive, influencing thing for you. And so that's important.
That is, I just love that you just said that, because we have so many changes going on in our lives, but the bag stays the same. And so you always have that memory of whatever was going on in your life when you look at that bag.
Exactly.
Now you have some other accessories, so tell us about the other accessories.
Yeah, so we're actually expanding our lifestyle accessories, but right now we have a card case, we have coasters, because there's a lot of Southern in me, so I love coasters. We have little wristlets, tassels, so things that accessorize the bag, as well as a few home items as well.
Home items?
Yeah, so coasters, we're coming out with candles, yeah, some other things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so then how does this start? We're going to do some candles, we're going to do some other home goods. So how did that start?
So, lifestyle. When we started talking about the story of Linnell Ellis and the turtle, which is our logo, and how the turtle represents taking your time, going slowly through life, really enjoying every single moment. And then when things get tough, you can go into your shell and rejuvenate and recharge. And then you come back out and you just keep going and enjoying life. And that story was resonating. So people kept saying, well, what about, you know, I love drinking tea. That, you know, that's important to me in my life. And so I thought, well, maybe we should make other items that talk about the lifestyle of really living completely. So over the last holiday, we came out with mugs for tea drinkers and coffee drinkers alike. We have coasters, things that we thought maybe would resonate with people as they're really living and enjoying their life.
The one thing, you know, as I'm listening to you, the one thing I'm really loving is that it's all not just the story, but what's behind the story.
Yeah.
And what makes it so so much more unique, because when you look at something, you have the memory of that. And I want to ask you too about distribution. How does that process work?
So small business, we do a lot of the distribution ourselves, working with our team. Right now we are primarily on our website, on LinnellEllis.com, and we're also in several stores in the U.S. And then we do very well internationally, so we're on several international marketplaces online as well.
Now that's really cool.
Yeah.
Doing it online internationally?
Yeah.
Now where did that come from? How did you do it?
Well, a lot of networking, getting to know people. I've just been blessed that people have been placed, you know, in front of us in our life that have been helpful and really want to see us succeed. But also a lot of, you know, hustling, trying to get out there and spread the word and get our brand recognized. And so. And
you have a good brand.
Oh,
I mean, you really do, because now I understand why the bags look the way they do. And, you know, just kind of make you think of kind of like, oh, this at a time when all of this was going. And how did you find your team? I mean, like, who were you looking for at the time you decided you wanted to do this?
So we have a very large virtual team. Which I think stems, one, from just small business, but two, my technology background. I really believe that we don't all have to be sitting in the same place to be on a team. So whatever resources we needed, we went out and found that, whether it was a graphic designer, whether it was a PR person, the factory themselves. And we started eventually using a lot of interns because my purpose is really to inspire and help others. So I utilize a lot of interns because I want them to experience small business and helping us and everything. So.
And see, that's good. And I wanted to ask you about the interns because, you know, they can do everything they want to learn, and you can just say, hey, intern, do this.
Yeah.
You know, get this solution, get that solution, do some research.
Yeah.
And do you use young people or students or?
Students. We've had a couple that weren't students, like just recently graduated, but mostly students from local colleges. And they are very interested. I love it because they love social media and they know it, and I don't have to deal with that. But yeah, they're willing to learn and really see that it's hard work. You know, a lot of times in design and fashion, people see the glitz and the glamour and, you know, this designer and this stylist, but behind the scenes, real life, you know, really building a business, they get exposed to that, which I think is good.
It is, it really is, because then they know, you know what, she's doing it, I can do it too.
That's right.
You know, I don't have to go for the cookie cutter lifestyle. And I love that you focus on lifestyle, because that's what it's all about. That's what we're
really
doing, you know, all day, every day, is just really trying to do that. So when you're looking at trends, how far in advance are you looking at, okay, I think this selection is going to be this way or that way?
Yeah. So I do trend research. I do a lot of trend reports. I utilize a lot of resources that sort of look ahead. So typically in the fashion industry, we're about 2 seasons, I'd say, ahead. Accessories can be a little bit different. But where I differentiate myself is that I am a big supporter of slow fashion and sort of this buy now, wear now process or thought process. Because like right now is a perfect example. It's summer and it's cold. Yesterday, it was freezing out, you know. I'm not thinking about my flip-flops and, you know, what I'm thinking about right now when it's cold, you know. And I think that women in particular, they think that way. They think about right now. And so I try to stay with the trends, especially from a US market and an international market.
Okay.
But I also distribute closer to the seasons in which we are. And I think that's an important aspect for new designers and entrepreneurs to think about. It's very difficult to stay with the fashion calendar as a small business. But I've learned that we really don't have to. We can be successful and we can make our own success. So, although I do follow them and I go, you know, attend a lot of trend, you know, research and do a lot of trend research, but.
And that's true. I mean, we want, especially if you have a bag or some boots or clothes, I want it now.
Right.
Because, you know, with fashion, they're starting with, okay, well, I know it's going to be July soon, and that's when we're going to start with fall.
And you go in the store and you're like, wait a minute, I need a sundress. You know, my favorite example, I'm going to an all-white party. Where's all the white now? It's gone.
After August, it's gone. And then in January, you're looking, okay, well, here's the bikini.
Right. No, it's too cold. And I have to work out. And, you know, so it's just too much.
Too much. And I mean, and that's important, the buy now, wear now. Because, but your bags are not trendy. They're still, it's buy, wear now, but they are very classic.
Yes, they're classic. Now, I am a businesswoman, so if I know the bucket bag, which has been prevalent over the last couple of seasons, it's had some modifications, but the bucket bag is still here. It's been around. It's sort of lasted. I'm going to have a bucket bag, but I may not have the same bucket bag style as everyone else. It's a classic bucket bag, and you don't have to worry when it goes out of style because it's also falls great as a shoulder bag or, you know.
I was gonna say, I've never heard of a bucket bag. What is the bucket bag?
Yeah, it draws at the top just like a bucket. Typically they're round. Ours is an oval at the bottom. It's a little bit longer. But yeah, you put all your stuff in it and it draws with a drawstring at the top.
Okay, that's one of the ones that you brought in today.
It is, yes, the round one is the bucket bag.
I never knew the term that it was called bucket bag.
Yes.
But that is so wonderful.
Yeah.
And for your little one, are you, you know, how's it, you know, this is what mommy does and this is what you can do too.
Oh yes, he is always trying to find you know, his business. You know, one day it's I'm gonna draw t-shirts. Okay, the next day I'm gonna start a toy store. You know, so he definitely is growing up similar to myself with an entrepreneurial spirit. So
wow. And now, how can people find your bags and your accessories?
Okay, LynelleEllis.com is where you can go, and in all social media it's Lynelle Ellis. And you can reach out and talk to us on all mediums. We would love to interact and find out more about what people like and get your feedback on the bags. And so.
And that's great. Well, I wish you all the best success. And that we have a few more minutes.
Okay.
Last word parting, or last words about being an entrepreneur.
Being an entrepreneur is the most gratifying, and it may be sometimes the most terrifying thing, but it's worth it. If you find out what your passion is and figure out how to use that to achieve your goals, it's great. Just don't give up. Really try to learn your craft and try to be the best you can in what you're doing, but just don't give up and keep going. I believe there's room out there for all of us. And more importantly, once you are successful, because I like speaking that into the air, just remember to help someone else.
That is so important. Just, you know, we can do it, but we can't do it by ourselves.
That's right.
But we also need an example. We need someone to kind of show us and help us and guide us the way.
Yes.
So, Lynelle, thank you so much for
You're
being
welcome.
on the Ed Brown Show. And we will see you next time.